أهلا بكم أعزائي طلبة وطالبات الصف الثالث الإعدادي بريب 3 في مادة ساينس تحت رعاية وزارة التربية والتعليم. عايزين نفتكر مع بعض كده بسرعة احنا كنا خدنا ايه في الليسون اللي فات. أول حاجة الليسون بتاعنا اسمه motion in one direction، فاحنا درسنا يعني ايه motion، أنواع motion. We took like 3 types of motion: motion in straight line, motion in curved line, and a combination between both of them. كمان خدنا what is meant by speed وازاي نطلع relation between speed, distance and time. وختمنا آخر حاجة خدناها difference between uniform speed and non-uniform speed. طيب النهاردة هنكمل الليسون بتاعنا. عندنا types of speed. احنا لحد دلوقتي خدنا 2 types. The first one was uniform speed. تاني حاجة كانت non-uniform speed. يلا بينا نكمل ال 2 concepts الباقيين النهاردة اللي هما average speed وآخر حاجة اسمها relative speed. يلا بينا نبتدي ونشوف هنعمل ايه النهارده. زي ما قلنا في البداية ان احنا درسنا المرة اللي فاتت what is meant by motion. قلنا ان في 3 types of motion. Let's have a quick recap كده for what have we studied last episode. يلا بينا. الأول what is meant by motion. Again, motion is the change in the object's position as time passes according to the position of another fixed object, and this is how we know the other object is moving. Exactly. طيب لو انتوا فاكرين what were the types of motion، يلا بينا نراجعهم مع بعض. ايوه زي ما انا سامعه كده. The first one motion in straight line, motion in curved line, or combination between both of them. طيب وخدنا ايه كمان؟ اتكلمنا عن speed. What is meant by speed؟ قلنا speed is distance covered per unit time. طيب what is the mathematical relation for speed؟ Speed equals distance divided by time. طيب what is the unit of speed؟ قلنا يا إما meters per second يا إما kilometers per hours. Exactly. طيب how to deduce distance and time from this relation؟ قلنا distance equals speed multiplied by time and time equal distance divided by speed. احنا كل ده بنراجع اللي فات، ما خدناش لسه اي حاجة جديدة. يلا بينا ناخد problem كده علشان بس نفتكر ازاي كنا بنطلع speed of an object. يلا نقرا problem مع بعض. A car traveling at a constant speed covers a distance of 700 meters in 25 seconds. What is the car speed؟ زي ما قلنا speed equals ايوه distance divided by time. في الحالة دي هتبقى 750 divided by 25 equals 30 meters per second. ليه هنا ما قلناش 30 kilometers per hour؟ لأن هو مديهاني في البروبلم 750 meters ومديني التايم in seconds، فعلشان كده احنا قلنا meters per second. حلوة قوي. يلا ناخد problem كمان. A dog runs at speed 3 kilometers per hour. How far does he run in 3 hours؟ طيب كلمة how far indicates ايه؟ How far means the distance. طيب if I said how long indicates time. So again لو جات لي في البروبلم كلمة how far so he means what is the distance. لكن لو جالي how long معناها he needs time. Exactly. So in this case we're trying to conclude the distance. What's the relation of distance? The mathematical relation, the mathematical rule of the distance. Distance equals speed by time. I already have the speed and I already have the time. So it will be 3 multiply 3 equals 9 kilometer. ممتاز. النهاردة بقى we will learn a whole new concept which is called average speed. If you remember when we studied uniform speed, we said it's almost impossible to calculate the uniform speed for a moving object or a moving car. For example, ليه؟ due to traffic. If I'm for example driving a car وبعد كده شوية مشيت والعربية وقفت مني شوية عشان الدنيا زحمة، بعديها مشيت شوية كمان والعربية جريت معايا، بعديها وصلت للديستنيشن بتاعي فوقفت. Is this considered a uniform speed؟ لا. ليه؟ because there is something which is called traffic of the road. طيب لو أنا عايزة أحسب اليونيفورم speed can I in this case؟ No. طب بنعمل إيه مكانها؟ بنعمل حاجة اسمها average speed. So sometimes it's impossible to calculate a car's regular speed. يعني إيه بقى average speed؟ Let's see together. average speed mathematical relation أو mathematical rule for it equals total distance divided by total time. What does this mean? تعالوا كده نشوف مع بعض. دلوقتي the car is moving. مثلا it took the first 2 kilometers مثلا for example in 1 hour علشان كانت الدنيا زحمة جدا. بعد كده it took like 10 kilometers in only 15 minutes. بعد كده الطريق خلاص كان مفيش مشكلة فيه وسالك ومفيش زحمة. ف the car moved like 50 kilometers and it took it in half an hour. ايه اللي حصل هنا؟ I have multiple distances and I have multiple times. So average speed in this case will be equal to total distance traveled by the object divided by total time needed to cover this distance. So أنا عندي حاجة اسمها total distance for all of the distances mentioned divided by total time for all the times that are mentioned. تعالوا نفهم أكتر كده الكلام ده يعني إيه. For an object that travels a distance of delta d ده معناه إيه؟ معناه that I have multiple times. بالظبط. The average speed في الحالة دي of that object during that time interval is given by the relation v, which is the average speed, equal delta d divided by delta t, which means total distance بالظبط divided by total time. برضو يلا بينا عشان نفهم أكتر الكلام ده معناه إيه.
Speed. Let's start by thinking about what it means for an object to move with constant speed. Say we have an object here, and that in front of this object we have a series of distances marked out. At 0 seconds of time, our object is right here, but then say that at 1 second of time our object is here, at 2 seconds it's here, here it is at 3 seconds, and then 4 seconds, and 5 seconds. So for every second of time that passed, our object moved an additional distance of 1 meter. Whenever a moving object covers equal intervals of distance over equal intervals of time, we say that it's moving at a constant speed. That is, it's a speed that doesn't change. In real life, though, we know that many moving objects don't move at a constant speed. Say we have a second object here, and if we let this object move for 1 second of time, we find its new position is at 1 meter of distance, but then after 2 seconds have passed, the object is up here at 4 meters. And then finally, we'll say that at 3 seconds of time, the object is at 5 meters. In this case, equal intervals of time, 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, do not correspond to equal intervals of distance. We know then that this second object is not moving at a constant speed, but we can still understand something about the rate at which it moves. We can do this by calculating what's called the average speed of this object. We do this by combining all the distances this object moved over each one of the 1 second time intervals for which it was in motion. We'll start with this first interval from 0 seconds to 1 second. The interval of time is 1 second long, and over this time, our object moved a distance of 1 meter. We then move on to the next time interval. When we calculate average speed, we keep what we could call a running total of all of the times and all of the corresponding distances traveled. This second time interval, like the first, is 1 second long, but over this second interval, the object moves from 1 meter up to 4 meters. That's a total distance of 3 meters. We then move on to our last interval, and here also we'll add that last interval of time and the last amount of distance. Over this last 1 second interval, our object moves a distance of 1 meter, from 4 meters to 5 meters. If we add up all the values in the numerator and all those in the denominator of this fraction, we get 1 plus 3 plus 1 or 5 meters, and 1 plus 1 plus 1 or 3 seconds. And notice that this result has units of meters per second. Those are the units of speed.
طيب زي ما شفنا في الإكزامبل كده اللي احنا كنا واخدينه في الفيديو، هو اداني في الأول إكزامبل عن حاجة اسمها constant speed. دي ما عنديش فيها مشكلة، مش محتاجة أجيب average speed in this case. ليه؟ لأن speed is constant, so at any point the speed will be equal to the next point. لكن in the second case what happened؟ أنا عندي different distances و different times. ففي الحالة دي ما أقدرش أقول إن the speed is constant، أو ما أقدرش أقول إن there is constant speed at any point. طيب what do? I collect all the distances together and add them. and divide them over the total time. بالظبط كده. في الحالة دي I reached my average speed. خليني أقول مثلا إن أنا رايحة مشوار، وبعدين حد بيسألني، مامتي مثلا، أنا دلوقتي رايحة لمامتي وبتسألني أنت قدامك قد إيه لحد ما تيجي؟ أنت ماشية على سرعة كام؟ هيكون ردي إيه؟ مستحيل هقدر أحسب السرعة اللي أنا ماشية بيها من أول رحلة لآخرها، لأن السرعة دي بتتغير كل شوية. هترد عليا كده تقول لي إيه؟ طب يعني تقريبا هتوصلي في خلال قد إيه، أو الافريج سبيد بتاعتك إيه؟ هي دي الحالة اللي هستخدم فيها average speed when I cannot get the constant speed for moving object. طيب يلا بينا ناخد example ونشوف هنعمل فيه إيه. نقرأ البروبلم مع بعض. بيقول لي a runner. المرة اللي فاتت قلنا car، بعد كده قلنا dog. مش لازم أبدا تجيلي البروبلم car أو dog أو أي حاجة تاني، أي object that is in a state of motion. A runner covered a distance of 100 meters of a straight track in 10 seconds. وزي ما علمتكم، أول حاجة بنفكر فيها لما تجيلي problem إن أنا لازم أطلع the givens of the problem، وتاني حاجة لازم أطلع the requirements for the problem. طيب إيه الجيفنز اللي عندي هنا؟ أول حاجة قال لي 100 meters، so the distance, the first distance is 100 meters، وقال لي 10 seconds which means that the first time is also 10 seconds. Then he returned back walking, he took 80 seconds. إيه ده؟ طب ما فيش distance number 2 أو ما فيش second distance. What do I do؟ تعالوا نفكر فيها شوية كده. هو بيقول لي a runner covered a distance of 100 meter of a straight track. Then he returned back. يبقى أكيد الوقت اللي هو رجع فيه أو الديستنس اللي هو رجعها هي نفس الديستنس اللي هو كان رايح فيها، اللي هي برضو هتكون إيه في الحالة دي؟ 100 meters بالظبط. So I have two distances, 100 meter going and 100 meter coming back. يبقى 200, and I have two times. The first one he took the distance in 10 seconds, and the second time he took the distance in 80 seconds to come back to the start point. طيب what does he need back from the problems؟ هنا بتيجي كلمة requirements، وقلت لكم برضو قبل كده أعرف منين requirements؟ دايما هتبقى جاية بعد كلمة calculate أو بعد كلمة what is the. هنا بيقول لي calculate، محتاج إيه مني؟ the runner's speed in the beginning، يعني أول ما ابتدى يتحرك. تاني حاجة هو عايزها during coming back، ففي الحقيقة هو محتاج 3 requirements. يبقى أول واحدة in the beginning، تاني واحدة during coming back، وتالت حاجة هو عايزها مني during the whole trip. طيب هو هنا محددش هو عايز constant speed ولا irregular speed ولا average speed ولا هنعمل ايه؟ هنتعامل مع البروبلم دي وكأنها 3 separate problems. هجيب أول واحدة الأول during coming back، أنا آسفة، calculate the runner speed in the beginning. يبقى أول حاجة هنجيبها in the beginning. يلا بينا نشوف the runner's average speed while running. في البداية خالص إيه اللي حصل؟ أنا عندي two givens اللي هما 100 و 10، يبقى في الحالة دي the speed equals 100 divided by 10 equal 10 meters per second. دي مفيش فيها مشكلة. خلصنا البروبلم على كده؟ لا، ده هو محتاج 2 other requirements. طيب what's the second part؟ بالظبط أنا عندي another distance and another time. يبقى the runner's average speed while returning، الديستنس بتاعتي المرة دي كانت برضو 100 but the time is different، اللي هو قد إيه؟ 80 seconds بالظبط. طيب كده we have 2 requirements. What is the last requirement بقى؟ بيقول لي during the whole trip. طيب تعالوا نشوف كده في الحالة دي هو محتاج speed ولا average speed؟ طالما the speed is not constant يبقى في الحالة دي أنا محتاجة إيه؟ average speed بالظبط كده. يبقى what is the rule that we're going to use؟ total distance divided by total time. The runner's average speed during the whole trip هتبقى total distance divided by total time equal 100 plus 100 اللي هما ال 2 distances اللي عندي divided by 10 plus 80 اللي هما ال 2 times اللي عندي. والانسر هتطلع 2.2. طبعا هنستخدم meters per second لان كل اليونتس اللي mentioned في البروبلمز هي meters وseconds. نشوف problem كمان. بنقول a racer runs 50 meters in 20 seconds. خلاص، يبقى أنا عندي distance number 1 and time number 1. Then he runs 20 meters in 10 seconds. يبقى أنا عندي distance number 2 و time number 2. Then he returned back to his start point. احنا قلنا لما أشوف كلمة return back to his start point أعمل إيه؟ يبقى هو أكيد رجع the same distance that he covered from the beginning. يبقى أنا كده عندي distance number 3 equal قد إيه؟ تعالوا نفكر فيها. بس إيه التايم اللي عندي؟ 50 seconds. What's the average speed of the racer؟ طالما هنا قال لي direct average speed يبقى إيه الرول اللي أنا هستخدمها؟ بالظبط total distance divided by total time. زي ما قلنا total distance divided by total time. طيب فين ال distances اللي عندي؟ أنا عندي the first distance is 50 meters. The second distance is 20 meters. 50 plus 20 equal 70. بالظبط كده. يبقى the journey during running from the beginning is 70 meters. طيب returning back بقى هيرجع قد إيه؟ هو قال لي he returned back to the start point. يبقى هيرجع قد إيه؟ هيرجع نفس ال 70 meters. So هنا أنا عندي 3 different distances. 50 plus 20 plus 70 returning back. بالظبط كده. يبقى 50 plus 20 plus 70 divided by I already have the 3 times, I don't have to calculate them. So 20 plus 10 plus 50 equals 1.75 again meters per second. ليه؟ لأن meters and seconds are mentioned in the problem. يبقى أنا مش محتاجة أستخدم kilometers per hour. طيب يلا بينا نشوف another types of questions دلوقتي على البورد ونحلها مع بعض. برضو جايبينها من بنك المعرفة المصري. يلا بينا نشوف ونحل مع بعض. يلا بينا علشان نشوف another types of questions ونحلها سوا. Complete the following. Space or what is defined as the covered distance with a specific time. طيب لو أنا عندي misconception وأنا مش متأكدة what does he need؟ أنا عندي two givens برضو في problems. إيه هما؟ distance and time. بالظبط. طيب what is the thing that connects between distance and time؟ ما عنديش إلا حاجة واحدة. إيه هي؟ بالظبط speed. طيب he continues the result of multiplying the speed of a moving object by time equals A. طيب لو أنا متلخبطة and I can't remember what are the relations between speed, distance and time. في الحالة دي قلنا هنعمل إيه؟ بالظبط هنرسم التراينجل. What is put on the top of the triangle؟ بالظبط كده distance. طيب what is put in the bottom of the triangle؟ speed and time. لو الحاجتين next to each other we multiply. لو هما above each other what do we do؟ divide. طيب he's asking multiplying speed and time. So speed multiply time gives you distance. بالظبط كده distance. طيب لو جالي الكويشن بطريقة تانية وقال لي what is the result of dividing distance divided by time؟ خلاص هتبقى speed. طب قال لي dividing distance divided by speed هتبقى time. بالظبط كده. Speed measurement units are we said either meters per second or kilometer per hour. ممتاز. Let's have another question. The concept of body movement is movement means motion. Let's remember together. What was the definition of motion? Change of object's position according to the position of another fixed object as time passes. طيب أنا عندي 3 options. It's speed, the change in the position with the time, ولا it's acceleration. طيب let's think about every one. What is the concept of speed؟ واضحة جدا. Distance divided by time. أو distance per unit time. يبقى distance and time should be mentioned. لكن the change in its position, it means that something has moved, changed its place. مفكرش فيها دلوقتي. It's acceleration. لسه أصلا ما درسناش acceleration. So we eliminate this answer and eliminate this answer. So the correct answer is position with the change of time. يبقى أول ما أشوف كلمة movement or motion هدور على طول على أنهي choice؟ the choice that includes changing the position. بالظبط كده. And this is the main difference between speed and movement أو motion. How to conclude the difference between them؟ دايما لما هيجيب لي speed he's asking about distance and time. لكن لما بيجيب لي motion لازم أقول change in position. طيب let's have the last question for this part. بيقول لي calculate the distance covered by a car moving at a regular speed of 70 kilometers per hour during half an hour and during 2 hours. يعني ايه الكلام ده؟ دلوقتي half an hour means what؟ أنا already عندي speed. So the first given is speed equals 70. طبعا دايما ما ننساش نكتب اليونت. طيب what is the second given? In the first case the second given is half an hour, which means 0.5 hours. صح ولا لأ؟ It's half an hour. So what is the distance in this case? بسرعة كده تاني نكتب التراينجل distance speed time. So distance equals speed by time. Speed is 70 multiply by what is the time here? 0.5 equals 35. You're allowed to use the calculator, so no problem. طيب what is the unit of distance? بالظبط kilometers. It's not meters. ليه؟ Because he mentioned in the problem that the speed equals 70 kilometers per hour. طيب in the second case he said 2 hours. So what is the time here? Exactly, it's obvious, 2. So in the second case, what is the distance? برضو speed by time, but in this case the speed is 70, time is 2. Equals, again, use your calculator, 140 kilometers. I always stress on writing the unit. We will lose marks if we didn't write the units. بس كده. And this was our lesson for today. يلا بينا كده نراجع بسرعة. What have we taken? We spoke about average speed and we said so instead we use the relation of average speed اللي هي total distance divided by total time. وخدنا ازاي to convert something like this from hours, half an hour, into a number that I can use in the equation. وبكده نبقى خلصنا حلقتنا النهارده. طيب نتكلم بسرعة كده what have we studied؟ بسرعة كده we had a very quick recap on what have we studied last episode وقلنا what is meant by average speed. فبالتالي what's the relation that we're going to use instead? Average speed. طيب what is meant by average speed? Total distance divided by total time. وبعد كده we had some problems وكمان some complete and some multiple choice and we learned together how to solve them. كده الحلقة تكون خلصت. إن شاء الله أشوفكم في حلقة جديدة ونكمل مع بعض آخر كونسبت لينا مع بعض. أشكركم وأشوفكم على خير.